Hi, it's Tracy from Two Rocks Tarot with this week's tarot tips and tricks, and today I'm going to be talking about when tarot is not enough and how many decks is too many decks. It's an interesting combination, isn't it? But I thought I would combine these two topics together because they kind of make a lot of sense. So I suppose, when you first start to read the tarot, particularly now, not when I started, when I first started, it was only like the Rider-Waite deck that I was aware of. There probably was the Toth deck around. But here in Australia, there was absolutely nothing. It's not like it is nowadays when you can hop on the internet, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of different types of decks, themed, not themed. It's the world is our oyster when it comes to the tarot world. There are so many decks to choose from. Not only of the tarot, but of the oracle decks as well, and Lenormand decks. There's not as many Lenormand decks out there as there are tarot decks, but, there still is a lot out there compared to when I started 28 years ago. So, of course, I suppose when tarot is not enough is when you notice that you keep on buying decks constantly, okay? So, of course, it's normal when you first start reading the tarot because there's just so many beautiful decks out there that you want to try them. But a lot of the times when you purchase a new deck, you get it and you're all excited and you open it up and you start to use and you start to read with it, but it's not giving you the answers that you seek or the ones that you're after. So you put it aside and then you purchase another deck and you just keep on doing that. And then before you know it, you've got 300 plus decks and you're not really reading with a lot of them. So that's what I mean when how many decks is too much, is when you've got a lot of decks but you still keep on purchasing them because you're not finding what it is that you're looking for in the decks that you've actually got. So a good idea is when that happens is to do a big purge, is to really look at your tarot shelf very, very hard and see just what it is. If you haven't used a deck for more than a couple of years or so, then it's time to get rid of it. So either sell it, throw it out, give it away, whatever it is that you want to do with it. If you're not too sure, then have a box ready with that, or you're not that too sure, you still like it even though you're not reading with it. Put it in a box like that, and until you've got an amount that you're actually happy with and that you feel that you could do justice to and read with it. So I myself don't feel like that you can't have, you can never have enough tarot decks. I'm not like that at all. So I'm not saying that, that you can't have 300 decks and read every single one of them. But if you really want to get that in-depth bond with tarot, it is good if you can just concentrate on a few decks at a time so that you really connect with the deck, because it's very easy to, especially when you're just starting out, to get put off because you're not getting what you're looking for in the cards. And let's face it, sometimes you don't even know what you're looking for, but you get that sense of dissatisfaction every time you use the deck. It's just not clicking with you. You're just not getting it. It's not telling you what you think it needs to tell you. It's just not reaching that higher self of yours or whoever it is that you speak to through the cards. So while myself, I have done a big purge, and I think I've got, as you can see, all them little boxes. So from not the first shelf, the very first shelf that you can see that's got the cat on it, it's got the ashes of my cat Blackie and my dog Oscar. The second shelf are tarot cards, and the third shelf, all them boxes have got tarot decks in them. And you won't be able to see it. Oh, I've got to see which way. But that little wooden cabinet I've got in the mirror that you can see behind me, that's actually got tarot decks as well. They're the ones that are in bags, bags like bags like this that are not actually going to fit. I haven't got boxes for them. I've just tucked them in bags. So I think in there I might have, about a dozen or something like that in there, as well as my runes and my ogams and things of that nature. So recently I've been thinking of doing another purge again. Now the only thing that is hard when you do the purging, and I have actually is selling them. Here in Australia the postage is really prohibitive. They have decided to change the postal rates again, but by the time you add the postage to the deck that you want to sell, 9 times out of 10, the people are better off buying it new through Book Depository, where they don't have to pay any postage at all, and they get a brand new deck. So the last big purge that I did, I actually ended up giving it to our local, what are they called? Like Salvation Army store. I just donated it there because I couldn't sell them. I just could not sell them. So that's a big drawback for us in Australia, is actually selling the decks, and I find it really, really hard. So I ended up just donating it. But there was a really lovely lady who was actually working there, and she grabbed a lot. And she was, funny enough, she was into crystal healing as well. So she actually took the lot. So she was really, really thrilled. But it is annoying when you can't actually sell the decks. So keep that in mind, that when you're purchasing decks, do you think it's something that's going to be easy to sell at a later on date? Which I'm telling you, probably 10 out of 10 of us never ever think about that. So yeah, so here the postage is, it's really bad. You know, people are better off getting a new deck. So I do want to do another purge again and condense my collection even further, because I found that I keep on reaching for the same sort of dozen or so decks all the time, you know, and the others I take out every now and again. I try to, with my Instagram readings, use a different deck of mine each week for 7 days, just so I can use my whole collection. But even then I find I'm still not picking up certain decks, so I probably will go through another purge and the itchy nose and, you know, and just think yeah, what to do with them. I don't know yet. I'm very, very particular now when I actually purchase a deck. I really want to make sure that I want it, that I'll use it, and you know, and it's really going to add to my well, just something that I'm going to use, basically. So when you know that tarot is not enough, so sometimes it's because you've got too many decks and you're not concentrating and you just can't connect to a deck at all. But you may only have half a dozen decks and you're really bonded well with them, but you're still just not feeling it. And this is when tarot is not enough comes into it. So if you've got just a small amount of decks, you use them all, but it's just not gelling with you anymore. You're just not really interested in it, and you can't be bothered, and you sort of just, you know, left it for a while. This might be a push to learn something new. So if you're strictly a tarot girl, you might like to delve into something new and might go into Lenormand. So you might decide you'd like to learn Lenormand, and I've just started a new series that I'll put out on Monday of learning Lenormand with me, so you might like to join along in that. Or you might decide you like to do learn the Kipper cards. You might decide to go into Ogams. You might decide to do runes. You might even just go delve into Oracle cards if you've never done that sort of thing as well before. So really, I suppose what I'm saying is that if you're not finding tarot worthwhile anymore, then sometimes it just isn't enough. So you might want to do something different. I myself, when I got really jaded and tired with reading altogether, that's when I done my crystal therapist course and become a crystal healer, and that just opened up a whole new doorway for me. And those of you who know me and follow my channel know that I do crystal scrying, so that's something that I never thought that I would do, and I've got a beautiful collection now on that shelf there full of crystals, and I absolutely adore scrying, and that really picked up my interest again in the tarot, because it's very, very similar, scrying. Because basically when you're looking at cards, you are scrying anyway, you know, you're looking for pictures, and that's the kind of things that I see in my crystals as well. It's hard to explain, but any of you know who have scryed know what that's like. So you might decide to do something completely different, and that's what I did when tarot wasn't enough for me anymore. And what I found, because when I first started reading, the tarot and the Lenormand come within a couple of weeks into my life at the same time. And I discovered that I had a real aptitude for Lenormand, and I preferred them over the tarot because they're a lot easier for me anyway to use. So I put my tarot aside and I just used Lenormand exclusively for a few years, actually, quite a while. But the way I got taught was that it was better off that you shouldn't ask the Lenormand any questions, which of course we know that's not true now. But you know, when you're new to things, you just sort of take it at face value and you don't do it. So every time I wanted to ask a question, I would ask my tarot deck and I would look at it and it's not really getting through to me, and I would pull the corresponding number of cards with my Lenormand deck so I could understand what the tarot was trying to tell me. And this was actually a really a really good way of learning the tarot again. And that's why I started my other series of looking at the tarot through the eyes of Lenormand, because it sort of opens up your mind in other ways, because you're thinking outside the square when you're looking at the cards. So what I have found now is that my tarot again has kind of been put to the wayside, and I've been drawn back into my Lenormand in a big way. I'm really, really enjoying it once again. I absolutely love it again. But I've also been dabbling with ogams. I've made my own ogams, also with the runes as well. I've been getting into that. So I've been, and I'm still, of course, with my crystal scrying. So what I've been doing different types of divination. So if you're finding that tarot is not enough for you, it could be a sign that you need to move on and learn some type of new divination tool. So that could be a big thing. Of course, too, sometimes you just need a break altogether from anything to do with woo-woo. So what you might need to do is just put everything away for a year or so and not do anything. When I was, probably people who know me know I'm a very avid reader. I read every day of my life for since as long as I could read. I've been a very, very big reader. But when I was got really, really depressed, I don't think I read for well over a year, nearly 2 years. I didn't pick up a book at all. I just got sick of it, so I didn't read at all. And I can't even imagine myself not reading now, but that's how sick of it I got, because I wasn't well mentally as well. It didn't help. I just couldn't be bothered. I just wanted to sleep all the time. Couldn't be bothered reading and all that. So sometimes, you need a true cut. Just don't do anything. Of course, many of us on YouTube have taken a break. I myself took a couple of months off as well from YouTube. Instagram, I deleted my whole account and started afresh with a new account. Sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes you need to take a break, and it could be a year or even more that you don't read at all. That's just, sometimes you just need to do that. You just need to take some time out for yourself and not worry about it. So I wanted to touch on that, because sometimes we blame ourselves and think that we're not a good enough reader. That's why we're not getting anything out of tarot. But sometimes it's just simply because we need to try something new. And once we try something new, it sparks that creativity inside us once again, because we're learning something again. And then you might find that you do go back to the tarot. Or like myself, now I can't get enough of Lenormand anymore. I've gone back to the very first deck that I ever owned, Titania's Fortune cards with Lenormand. This is what I taught myself to read with. And I just can't get enough of this deck anymore. I truly can't. I'm just constantly reading with it. So, you might find that something that you put to the wayside, you're going to start up again, or you might try something completely new. So have a look at your tarot deck collection. If it's not gelling with you, if you're really not, getting anything out of it, there's nothing wrong with purging it. There's nothing wrong with getting rid of decks and just having a smaller amount. And that's exactly what I am going to do yet again. I want to go through my decks and, get rid of ones that I just don't read with anymore. But it looks like it'll be another trip to the op shop, because I just find them really, really hard to sell. But I've got to actually find which decks it is that I don't want, because sometimes you have a deck for many, many years and you just still can't quite get rid of it, and that's a sign that you might need to keep that deck as well. I had the Celtic Dragon Tarot. I had that for 15 years. That sat in a drawer of my desk, and I just didn't gel with it, didn't like it, couldn't read with it. I did an Instagram challenge on contacting your spirit guides, and for some reason I took that deck out and thought, I might as well give it a go. And that deck is one of my favorite decks now. It absolutely screamed to me. So sometimes you're not ready for the message that the deck wants to give you. And in this case, this was 15 years. So I don't say that you keep a dusty box under your bed for 15 years in the hope that the tarot decks are going to talk to you. That was an extreme case for me. I never thought that would happen, but it actually did. And yeah, that has become one of my favorite decks. And then because I did that challenge, that actually got me into doing spirit messages through the tarot. So it led to something else yet again. So I highly advise anybody that if they're getting a little bit jaded with tarot, is to try some other type of form of divination. Try something completely out of the square and what you're not comfortable with, and just see where it goes. And it should spark your creativity, and it'll push you in yet a new direction. And then you'll find that you get that effervescent feeling back about whatever it is that you've lost. So, you know, what was once a flat glass of lemonade will soon be bubbling and sparkling again, because you've decided to, you know, to go in a different direction. But, you know, sometimes you may find it might lead you back down a path that you should have stayed on, you know, or that you've forgotten about, and you think, oh yeah, I used to love doing that. What made me stop it? So there's never not too many tarot decks, unless, you know, you can't comfortably read with all of them. I mean, I know Kelly in the Truth and Story is really, really good, because she just has like a bookcase of what she reads with, and all the others are stacked in boxes, and then she'll, you know, in cartons under her bed and stuff like that. And then she'll go through them all again and put some away and take out other decks, and she does it like that, very, very seasonally, which I think is fantastic if you can do that. But I can't do that, because I don't know, I'm just not like that, and I don't really want to have things stored in boxes for me. But that might work for you too. You might decide to just put them all away, out of sight, out of mind, and use the few that you've got, and then go back and have a look at what you've got packed away, and perhaps take the ones that you have got in your shelf, put them away, and start out with some fresh decks, and then it feels like you've got, you know, brand new decks again. So that'll be all for this week. I hope you've enjoyed it, and until next time, this is Tracy.